Friday afternoon, just after 1, about 1:10, just about close enough. And I put a topic in the title, Taking Our Seats, and it is um, basically the thought of, in the Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, Sikam Sukham Siram Sukham uh, Asanam, I think. My Sanskrit is all messed up, so don't quote me on that. What it means is steady, comfortable, or at ease position. And actually, I wrote about that in my blog this morning. Um, steady, stable, comfortable is the position that we take. Here's the thing with Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, the seminal classic on yoga. It is Yoga Sutras. It's the name itself signifies the importance of it in yoga practice. Maybe ranking right up there with the Bhagavad Gita as far as essential texts that every yogi should read. However, asanas are only postures that only mentioned 3 times, I believe, in the entire book, entire text, which shows you that how yoga is basically practiced is a little incorrect. Burpees Bandit is here. Hey, another 3 a.m. wake up call from you. Yep, same time as last week. I was tuning in. There was waking up from reflux. Today it's from noise due to nearby house party. Sorry about that. Wow, that's a long party if it's still going on 3 a.m. Of course, I'm old. 4 a.m. Okay. That's not too bad. I mean, it's not great, especially if you have a long day of work ahead of you. So steady seat. What does that mean? And I guess it's worth exploring, worth diving into. Again, the Yoga Sutras only mention postures, asanas, 3 times. And all of that is into reference into taking a seat, how we sit in meditation, to get that steady, stable, comfortable position so that we can meditate for longer periods of time and not be distracted by the aches of the body. However, there's also something deeper at play, that everywhere is our seat. Life is offering you a seat every single moment that we should, I hate using the word should, because I used to say what we should do and what we shouldn't do. But here's the thing, in the practice of yoga, we seek steady, stable, and comfortable, even in the most uncomfortable positions we find ourselves. And life will always present you with uncomfortable situations. Always. You don't have to look for them. Carlos Castaneda would call the situations our petty tyrant, and that we should be thankful when life gives us a petty tyrant, because that's how we learn. Petty tyrant is any person or any situation that demands us to let go of the ego a little bit, to let go of our own demands that we need things to be a certain way. Hybrid Jim is here. Hey, how are you? So when we think of that petty tyrant, and it could be a person, it could be a situation, it could be whatever, it could be a traffic jam, because it is diminishing our sense of control. We love to think we have control. I don't know one thing in my life that I have control over. I have the illusion of control over infinite things. But the rug can be pulled out any moment. And that's what Carlos Castaneda talked about when he said that death stalks you through life, always on your left side, and is always there to tap you on your shoulder. And just knowing that alone should reduce a great deal of self-importance, because nothing else matters. If you know that death is imminent, which it is for all of us, and we never know when, those demands become so less important. Other things take precedence: kindness, compassion, empathy. Hybrid Jim says that he is about to jump in the shower. I was barefoot at the park and got covered in mud. Hey, so that means you're earning back your old name. Barefoot, did you do it? If you did even one burpee, you reclaim the title of Barefoot Burpee. I'll have you in the bathroom on Bluetooth. I'll take any audience I can get, wherever they find themselves. So that's the whole thing with taking our seat. The same thing with Carlos Castaneda was saying. It's the same thing that Patanjali was saying. That Barefoot said he didn't do a single burpee. Barefoot park, barefoot rings, slackline and rings, barefoot slackline. Are you finding the slackline is better barefoot now? Duncan Walsh is in the house. Hey, Eric, I'm away, but practicing ornithology from the brushes. What have you seen so far? Do you have a bird list that, a lifetime list that you've been keeping? Milka has one. Birdsey Bandit said he went for another long run yesterday. Seems to have interesting thoughts come to me when I run. I think exercise conditions mind more than the body. What are your thoughts? I think it depends on the exercise. Running gives you time for those insights to appear. Burpees, at least if you're doing a 20-minute session, if you're doing a supercharged session, not a lot of time to think. But I think that's good as well, because it shuts off that subjective mind and you become open, just pure motion. It ties in with what I was saying about taking our seats. Taking our seats means that we can do that in motion. It means finding comfort within the discomfort of life. And when you're doing that 11-minute set, when you're doing a 20-minute busy dad set, there's a whole lot of discomfort to take a seat in. And you find that you need that mind, and taking your seat is more physical, more mental, more emotional, more spiritual than it is physical. Having said that, at a certain point, there's no distinction between physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual. It's all one thing. Hybrid said it's hard to accurately name oneself. Yeah, I would agree. Slackline went very well. I'll have a vid coming soon. Yeah, a lot of different mind states during activity. Yes, during so many different activities. Yoga, I find I can get my mind very quiet, very still. It becomes an extension of my meditation practice. Running, depending on the distance, depending on the pace, when I go for something really, really long, I find that my mind becomes very quiet. But if I'm doing something, but it takes a little longer. If I'm doing like a 5K, if I'm racing a 5K, it's all about the race. It's all about the pace. There's no time to think of anything else but that. Makes me wonder, back to your finding a name, that if we were to pick names for other people in the burpee community, what we would come up with. However, Jim says that burpee mat stuff is interesting as it changes the burpee mind state. Definitely, because he tells a story. Not only does he tell a story, but he involves you in the story. So you have this invested interest of maneuvering your way through the workout itself. Burpee Bandit says, you remember any thoughts that were influential in your ultras? One, and it was my first 100. And it was after my 3 failed attempts previously where I didn't finish. I hit 60s, 60 miles, 60 plus, and for various reasons I dropped. At my first 100, it was, my first first finish of a 100-mile race. It was raining in the morning and it turned to freezing rain. I couldn't find a pair of long pants that I had in my drop bag. I was freezing. I was shivering. Mile 40, I saw a friend and at an aid station. She gave me something warm and she texted my crew and said, Eric looks pretty bad. I don't think he's going to make it. So prepare yourself when he comes in. 50-mile turnaround. Actually 60-mile turnaround, and then you go 20 out and 20 back. I think he'll probably drop. And the rain turned to freezing rain later, and everything crystallized, became very beautiful. My mind became very still for an extended period of time. The guy I was running with said he was going to drop, and he thinks I should too because I looked really bad. But in that moment, as my mind started getting very, very quiet, and as I watched the rain crystallize, I knew I was going to finish. Because nothing was really important anymore. I just gave up. I surrendered. I didn't give up on the race. I didn't give up running. I just gave up on the thought of accomplishing anything. And just found that freezing rain, everything was just magical. And I felt good. I felt warm. No longer freezing, no longer shivering. Everything just, the very act of surrendering meant that I was free to just enjoy what was going on. And I did. For the next 50 plus miles, it was an effortless race. So I remember the thought of giving up, and then that was it. Duncan says that now you are creating shorts. Does it feel easy to get a message across under 60 seconds? You know what I've been doing is picking a snippet from my morning blog that I write every morning, and I look at it. I look at the one that I think sums everything up nicely for me, and I think, I wonder if I can get this under 60 seconds. It becomes my busy dad short approach. How much can I fit in the 60 seconds allotted? I'm actually enjoying doing the shorts because I can, again, I try to make that point, the essence of my blog post, in a minute. I don't think I can do it in 15 seconds. Those are the two options. Burpees Bandit said Eric's live streams are ultras compared to his shorts. Yeah, that's true. They have been known to stretch out well over an hour. Of course, it's because I got great guys to talk to, asking insightful questions, putting up with my answers. So yeah, it runs a little bit longer. Let's see. Burpees Bandit says that's how long I'm able to run. That's how I've been able to run longer. Not having a destination, just running. Exactly. A destination, I guess sometimes, gives you something to look forward to. I think when Richard Runs Trails was here, he said he likes to have a why. Why am I doing this? Getting the buckle or finishing the race, that's his big why. And it works very well for him. An extremely successful, he's a technician of ultra running. He's got everything dialed in. I was a very fly by the seat of my pants. I would forget to put things in my drop bag. I always went off course. My 100-mile races would turn into 104, 106 miles because I would go off course. I ran off course on a race where you could only go two directions. There was a canal on one side and a river on the other, and I ended up finding myself facing a river, wondering, how did this possibly happen to me? But I was a happy wanderer. Didn't matter if I finished the race. I loved wandering the courses. That was it. It was always fun to finish. It was always great to get that buckle. But just being there, that was more than enough for me. Destiny Forever Walks is here. Happy Friday and blessings, Eric. How are you? I'm doing pretty well, thank you. Just a yogi doing burpees in his basement, highlighted there. I could probably shorten that, but I like the description because it literally sums up what I'm doing. And let's see. Yeah, so letting go, surrendering, just doing it for the sake of doing it. I don't know that we always need a why. And the one thing that I found is willpower itself has a limit. We love giving it precedence. Gainsborough is here. Hey, Gus. Cool new name. I appreciate that. At a certain point, willpower gives out. And of course, we could quit. And then we beat ourselves up and we say, man, I just didn't have it. I didn't have that willpower today. I need to work harder to get that. But if you allow it, when willpower gives up, something else takes place. And it's completely spiritual. That's when you surrender and you're carried by grace. You're carried by something greater than yourself. You can only grit your teeth and push on for so long, but you can be carried forever. And it's grace, it's inspiration, it is love of what you're doing. That carries you. That will carry you to the finish every time. And if it doesn't, then you're not finished. And I mean that greater than the race, because there's another race and there's another race and there's another race. Allow yourself to be carried. Allow yourself to be carried in your burpee set. Allow yourself to be carried in your pull-ups and your push-ups, in whatever. That's the path of, in yoga, it's called Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of devotion. If you're devoted to what you're doing. If you're devoted to what you're doing, does it matter how many reps you get? Does it matter how many miles you get? It just matters that you did those reps. You did those miles. You're completely happy and devoted and in love with what you're doing in that very moment. And that takes all the misery out of it. Doesn't mean you're not miserable. It just takes the misery out of it because you love that misery. You love being out of breath. You love that heart thumping. You love your feet aching. You love your muscles getting ready to explode. Every bit of it. Every last bit of it. That's devotion. That's bhakti yoga. Let's see. Barefoot Burpee says having a why is powerful, keeps us all going. It does until there's no longer a why. And then what do we have left? If you take away that why, and here's the thing, everything can be taken away from you. Everything. Your why, your purpose, your meaning in life, everything. So what Viktor Frankl found when he was in the Nazi concentration camps. They took everything from him, including his why. And what he found was the thing that couldn't be taken was the meaning he was able to give anything. And for him, the meaning was love. He was able to forgive those that tortured him. Not only forgive, he had empathy for them because they were dehumanizing themselves. They couldn't dehumanize him, but they dehumanized themselves. Murphy's Bandit says, you think that it is synonymous with meaning? Excellent question. As a meaning of life or having a why different? I think having a why is different. And I think that we get to be selective in what we give meaning to. Even, like I said, even that meaning can be taken away. Under the right circumstances, under the right Optical JT says, hi, hey, how are you? Let's see. Meaning. All of it can be taken away. Nothing really has meaning until we give it something. You look at a tree, the tree itself has no meaning. It's just a tree. It's its beautiful essence itself. It is. Is. I absolutely love that word. That's what Richard Bach, his description of God, simply is, the great isness. So everything has its own inherent meaning. The meaning of a tree is to be a tree. Alan Watts said that as the ocean waves and a tree branches, the universe peoples, the universe selves. We are the meaning of the universe. And I don't mean that in the egoic sense whatsoever, just who we are. But every bit so is a tree, and so is a bird, so is everyone else that you meet. So it takes away that significance, that our meaning and our why is so great and so grand and so important. Doesn't mean we shouldn't have them, but we should know that it can be taken away and that we need to rely on something greater. It's the difference between how we say we love someone in a relationship and unconditional love. Because we all know that love in a relationship can change. We love our wives until they leave us. Our wives love their husbands until they leave them. And of course, you can get to the point where you forgive people for whatever. But unconditional love says yes to everything. Everything. We love to slip in some type of condition. Even this. There is no even this in unconditional love. There's just unconditional love. There's just the without condition. Bandit says, you think meaning is human-made construct then? I do, actually. If nothing has meaning until we give it meaning, maybe that's what makes us human and also dooms us to ponder the meaning of life. I like that thought. It reminds me of Shakespeare, and I don't remember if it was Hamlet or not, where he says, nothing is good nor bad, thus thinking makes it so. And that's, meaning is a human construct, but that doesn't discount the inherent meaning of just being. Life. Life is its own meaning. And of course, the words, just a description. not the real thing. So when we say meaning, that life has its own meaning, its own inherent meaning, it doesn't do justice to what life actually is. Life is everything. We know nothing but life. Nothing at all. If you want to find the sacred, it's right here. Nowhere else. Remember Saint Catherine of Siena says all the way to heaven is heaven. What does that leave out? So let's take out the word heaven. All the way to meaning is meaning. We get to give things meaning. That's a great gift of being human. Doesn't mean that that meaning is anything other than a description, but it's our description. We get to do it. And it could be whatever. One of the great gifts that we have is being able to reframe something, to take something that has a negative meaning, a negative connotation, and reframing it and using it. We do that when we work out. The meaning of 20 minutes of burpee means this absolutely sucks for all of us. However, reframe that meaning. We know it's going to suck, and we embrace the suck. The great thing about everything having no inherent meaning in and of itself other than being is we get to use the tools of the universe. We get to use the tools that have provided us as human beings to give it meaning. But that doesn't mean it has ultimate meaning in and of itself. Destiny says we are the universe. We are the universe experience itself. I agree 100%. That means we are all powerful. It means that there is literally nothing we can't do. We are unlimited, untapped potential. I love the way Deepak Chopra calls it pure potentiality. What we are is pure potentiality. Of course, we got to take that ego sense of we are the universe and realize that it's the universe expressing itself as us. That we aren't us expressing the universe, it's the universe expressing itself as us. And we forget that. And that's when the ego comes into play and starts making those demands, thinking that we are all important because, hey, I am the universe. Instead of, there is just the universe. I am is the universe. Burpees Bandit says, how do you describe meaning to an alien? I think it's a hard concept to grasp. Yeah, it probably is. But you know what? I would assume any alien being here is here for a reason, exploring, gathering information, so they have their own concept of meaning. I'm not sure that I would even attempt to. Because who am I to give my sense of meaning to someone else? Why is it important to anyone but me? When I embrace that fact, then, that meaning becomes personal. And I don't get offended if someone else has a different meaning. If someone else looks at something and says, well, that's ridiculous. It certainly is, but it's my ridiculous. I gave it my meaning that I want it to have. And no one can take that away. It can be taken away by life eventually. And if it is, I'll give it away freely because I have that option of assigning something else meaning. And that's what Viktor Frankl did all through his torture through the concentration camps. Gus says an alien might explain it to us. Yes, probably. And probably have considering if they're here, they have advanced technology. They've reached a state that maybe we haven't. They might have a better way of explaining it. Brindley Baker, am I getting the name right? If I ever get your name wrong, if you pop in, I apologize. I mispronounce probably one out of every other word that I'm going to say. Such odd comments people make, you know? They want to get you when you're live saying something weird, which is what a strange way to spend your day. Um, so, anyway, I have my own stuff to say. I don't need to say stuff that other people would like me to say. I appreciate you being here, though. Burpees Bandit says could be to record it for some sinister reason. You know what? He's probably trying to get me to say it for the aliens. Or possibly is an alien and it's a code word. You got to consider these things. I don't know why I have to consider these things, but I do. So actually, a couple months ago, we had a conversation. I popped in on the Sunday show and we were talking about aliens. Are they here? Or they aren't here? Interesting thought. Destiny says he doesn't need to, but thanks for your short visit. I agree, 100%. Appreciate you being here. If you'd like to add something else, you never know. One of the other people here actually might be saying your name and you just can't hear it. So, meaning, aliens, all the good stuff. Interesting to think about. Interesting to think about if there is alien life here, if there's ever been here. I think it all depends on what we consider alien. I think that a better way of thinking it is interdimensional travel, which I think has a greater possibility because it doesn't take technical expertise. It doesn't take fuel. In the Hebrew teachings of the Kabbalah, they talk about the Merkaba, which is that an interdimensional meditation technique. Carlos Castaneda talked about interdimensional beings. And the universe is just, we think of space as out there. But of course, this is space right here. If you're on another planet looking and you're looking at Earth, we're in outer space. There is no place where space doesn't exist. We are outer space. We're life inhabiting a planet. That's pretty awesome in and of itself. But space itself is multidimensional, continuous. So why would we ever put a limit and say, well, this is it? This is the only way life can be expressed and how we see it. That's pretty limiting. Burpees Bandit says I found a really cool video on interdimensional shapes the other day. I love the whole thought of shapes, fractals. How do we live in a universe of fractals? Not only that, our lungs are fractals. Tissues of the skin are fractals, all interacting with everything else. I mean, we're interdimensional beings. We have stuff going on inside of us that is absolutely amazing. We have molecules, cells, atoms, particles, and more than that, spaciousness itself, somehow holding all that together. I mean, there's no real reason why our skin is ending here when there's other particles here. It's the wonderful thing about realizing who and what we are in the universe. If you hold your hands up, where do your hands end and the universe begins? Where does the universe end and your hands begin? It's just one continuous thing appearing different forms non-stop, forever, infinitely. So, any thoughts on aliens, anyone? Or is it even worth contemplating? Some people don't think so. Of course, the things that we're finding more and more in the media, it may seem that it's time to give it deeper consideration and deeper um, probability. Let's see. Burpees Bandit says, you mentioned your dad was a man of science. He was a science teacher. What were his thoughts on the afterlife, aliens, interdimensional beings? Did you ever have those conversations? We did talk about the afterlife quite a bit. And he is a very pragmatic person. He would say things along the lines of, when it's over, it's over. When you're dead, you're simply dead. However, the molecules and the atoms and the particles that make up your body are infinite. They were literally created at the beginning of the universe. The elements that make up our body, the basic elements, came from the Big Bang. It's when Carl Sagan said that, we are stardust. That's literal. We actually are made from the stuff of exploding stars. We are made from the stuff of that singularity of energy that for some reason burst into motion, creating time and space as it went. That amazes me. There was no such thing as time or space. Nothing. Absolute emptier than emptiness could possibly be. And when that singularity exploded, it created exactly what it needed as it went, leaving the universe in its wake. And it's still continuing on. We're still big banging away. So the particles that made up my dad are now an autumn leaf falling to the ground, are now a blade of grass, piece of dirt, a feather, infinite things. And that's just a scientific way of looking at it. If you break it up into, let's say, a yogic perspective, the very essence of who he was is still in existence. What existed can never not exist. It can only take a different shape, a different form. The essence itself is still here. It's a basic fact of physics. Energy can't be created nor destroyed. My dad, even in his later days, was a very energetic person. As far as aliens, interdimensional beings, we didn't talk so much about that. He believed that there was a high probability that there was life on other planets, but, he was really a let's talk about this that's happening now type of scientist. He didn't speculate on possibilities too much. It was more of dealing with the situation at hand. And I think that's a lot because his scientific thinking was also backed up by being a child during the Great Depression, serving in the last year of World War II, and overcoming quite a bit in life, a lot of hardships. Let's see. Let's see. Barefoot Burpee says, I didn't want to bring this up because I think it's BS, but do you think of astral traveling? Is that something you've experienced through meditation? I have not experienced it through meditation. I have had dreams where it felt like there was a possibility of astral traveling. I see no reason why it would not be a possibility. I know people who practice it. I have books about it that I have read through. Not something that I have too great. I have practiced Tibetan dream Buddhism before, and yogic sleep, yoga nidra, where you definitely get that feeling of being out of the body or an extension of the body. Um, for me, the only reason why it hasn't become something like big that I want to focus on is I have a very specific reason that I meditate, and that is for the inner peace that develops from that, getting that unshakable um, sense that all is right in the universe where I am right now. So I think sometimes you can get so calm and so deep in a meditation that it would only take an intent whispering through the mind to cause astral traveling to happen. But that would take me out of the center of my meditation practice, and I don't have any desire to leave that. Meditation itself is to keep me center here, my feet on the earth, part of everything. Destiny says the astral body can leave the physical and the etheric bodies behind and go traveling on the astral planes. Eric, that is the same as out-of-body experience. Yes, it's the same as out-of-body experience. That you find yourself in astral body. And of course, in yoga, they would say, we have the pranic body, the energy body as well. Again, it's not something I give a whole lot of. I say yes, it's absolutely true, it's absolutely possible, but it's not something that I spend a lot of time considering, because again, I find that life can be difficult, and a lot of sad stuff happens, a lot of suffering in the world, and I don't seek any means to escape it whatsoever, but to embrace it and be part of the solution. Just my whole reason for practicing yoga, starting with the ethical reasons, practicing non-harming, speaking the truth, all the way, the entire 8 limbs of yoga, is to, a lot of people think, it's to escape suffering. The Buddha taught, he said, I am here to teach suffering and the way out of suffering. But I'm not sure there's a way out of suffering. I think there is a way out of experiencing the psychological attachment to our suffering. And I think there's a way of embracing that suffering and again, reframing it so that it becomes a loving force that allows us to have empathy and compassion for everyone. So that's where I am with my meditation, so that my meditation becomes an extension of my life. I step away from the meditation cushion, but I don't step away from the meditation ever. Let's see. I think that's it. I'm caught up on the comments. So, all right, guys, it is coming up 45 minutes, and I think it's a good time to say goodbye for the day. Appreciate everyone being here. I know it's extremely early for Barefoot Burpee, so I appreciate the fact that being up so early and you thought, hey, let's check in on my friend Eric. I appreciate that. I always appreciate Destiny being here and Hybrid Jim. Duncan took time out of his birding trip and said hi, which was really cool. And I hope you spot that elusive and exclusive birding treasure that is out there somewhere. And Gus, Gainesville, always love it when he stops in. Always good to chat. Eric says barefoot burpees, and Destiny says thanks, Eric, and Burpees Bandit for the discussion feedback. Thank you as well. Sketchy is here, and I'm saying goodbye. He's asking, can you sing? As a matter of fact, I can sing, and I was just getting ready to, but I already said goodbye. So you'll have to come back the next time I do a live session, and you can suggest a song for me. You know what? Anything by Taylor Swift, and I'll sing it for you. So, all right, guys. Appreciate you being here. Sketchy and friends, you have a good day as well. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Take care.